am Boemo Phirinyane from Botswana. I am a participant in the Young African Leaders Initiative Cohort 7 under the Business, Entrepreneurship and Development track. YALI so far for me has been an interesting learning curve. But the two most important lessons that I've learned thus far, firstly, is the importance of accepting and appreciating diversity, because that is one of the most important things that we as young African leaders need in order for us to be able to move forward, to go beyond the boundaries that currently prohibit us from doing so. So it has been an interesting curve because we have people from different backgrounds, different religious and ethnic groups which form part of this same cohort. Therefore, now the most important thing for me has been to be able to accept and appreciate this diversity, because we work together, we've been staying together for quite some time now. So that is one important lesson that I feel I have learned thus far. The second one is the importance or the idea of network, because as young African leaders and young entrepreneurs, we need to be able to establish an effective and strong network base. And I think so far YALI has afforded me the opportunity to do that, because I've been able to connect with people from as far as Malawi that I wouldn't otherwise have had an interaction with if it weren't for YALI itself. Therefore, I think those two are the most important lessons that I'm going to take home from YALI at the moment. I had always been waiting for opportunities like these ones, because they're important platforms that expose you to other things that you otherwise wouldn't have been exposed to if you were confined in your own society, in your own country. Therefore, I think I would advise young people to take such kinds of initiatives very seriously and apply, because they can be the doorway to opportunities that you've been waiting for. I know a lot of young people out there, myself as an example, because I had applied twice before I was accepted. So it nearly dampened my spirit because I felt like maybe it wasn't meant for me. So I would advise young people out there who have been trying to apply to get into YALI that don't despair, because it takes a couple of efforts for you to be able to be accepted maybe, but once you're accepted, it's a worthwhile experience, because it exposes you to a lot of opportunities and a lot of diverse cultures that we don't appreciate if we only live in our own confined spaces back at our homes. So I would encourage them to apply, because there are different cohorts in a space of I think 2 months. So when applications open, I think I would advise them to apply for the next cohort. My message to the donors and the sponsors of the program: firstly, I have to express my gratitude for being accepted, because I was accepted out of 1,000, maybe 5,000 people who had applied. So I think that is something that shows the commitment of the sponsors towards the development of young, rigorous and progressive young leaders. So I would say I want to thank them from the bottom of my heart, and I would urge them to continue with such kinds of initiatives, because I think they are the ones we need, specifically in our context as the African continent, because we don't have access to a lot of opportunities out there. So I think having been part of YALI and experiencing the most important elements that I've experienced, I would encourage them to continue doing so, because it's an investment on the future leaders of the continent who might be able to one day propel the African continent to greater heights. So we otherwise would struggle a lot if we don't have such kinds of opportunities that expose us to real life situations that our leaders face. Therefore, I think I would like to say thank you a million times to the sponsors of YALI. One important thing that I want to make when I get back home, because I have an organization, a non-governmental organization rather, called Innovative Youth Organization. It primarily focuses on cultivating the spirit of entrepreneurship amongst young people. Therefore, I think the experience and the knowledge that I've gathered from YALI Cohort 7 would go a long way in helping me now to establish and roll out a proper plan which I can now use to engage other young people out there, because I now have the knowledge, even though it's not as much as I think, but the little that I have would go a long way in assisting me to now be able to train and develop other young entrepreneurs out there like me, because I think lack of access to knowledge is one of the important, or rather one of the barriers that we face as young people, especially in my country. Therefore, I think now going back, that is one important thing, one important assignment that I would like to be engaged in full time, so that I can be able to give back to other young people who didn't have the opportunity to come here like I did. So that is one important thing that I've committed to doing once I get back home. As a young African leader, there are a lot of issues that interest me, but the one that speaks directly to my heart is the idea of women empowerment and access to equal opportunities for women. Because for the longest time, women have not been able to fully express themselves because they've been denied repeatedly access to opportunities, and those opportunities have only been skewed towards the sides of their male counterparts. Because mostly, or most of us, we live and grew up in conservative societies where women's role only extends as far as the kitchen. And I think the direction in which the world is taking and the direction that I aspire to lead my people towards is one where we grant access to opportunities for women, because they are very integral to the kind of society that we want to build. But in status quo, they are not being granted such kinds of opportunities. So I think women do deserve access to equal opportunities as men, and I would think they even deserve more, because for the longest time men have benefited. So I think we need to be able to open doors for more women, whether it's in the sphere of politics, economics, or even the social aspect. We need to work very hard in trying to uplift the social status of women, because they're important in the societies that I imagine myself. In 5 years' time, I think and I hope that I would be a business and communications strategist, because that's one other issue that speaks directly to my heart. So I wish and hope to be able to uplift other young entrepreneurs and other young businessmen and women who want to make it in life. So I think in 5 years' time, if I can be able to establish myself, I would be able to do that and help uplift other young entrepreneurs who have a dream like I do. Because I think entrepreneurship and business development is one aspect that we can use as the African continent to yank ourselves out of the poverty that we live in, out of the high rates of unemployment that young people face. So I think as a business strategist and communication specialist, I would be better placed to be able to realize that dream of giving access to opportunities for other young people in the African continent.